Every morning, before the world rushes in, you owe yourself a moment of clarity. 6 reminders, not for comfort, but for courage. Not for escape, but for endurance. I cannot control the world, but I can control my response. This thought is both a shield and a compass.
The truth is, life moves beyond our command.
The weather will turn, markets will rise and fall, people will come and go, and even our own body will age and betray us at times. No matter how hard we try to master it, the world will never fully bend to our will. To live expecting otherwise is to invite endless frustration. But within that vast territory of uncontrollable events, there remains one small but unshakable domain that belongs entirely to us, our response. Think about it. You cannot control how others speak to you, but you can control whether their words turn you bitter or make you stronger. You cannot control whether you encounter failure, but you can control whether failure becomes a prison or a teacher. You cannot control the length of your life, but you can control its depth, its integrity, and the way you carry yourself through it.
This is where true freedom resides.
Most people give their power away without realizing it. They let anger dictate their actions because someone insulted them. They let fear dictate their choices because life presented uncertainty. They let disappointment dictate their mood because outcomes didn't match expectations. But if you pause and remind yourself that your response is yours alone, you step out of the chains of circumstance. You no longer react blindly, but act deliberately. That small act of choosing changes everything. The one who masters response becomes unshakable. A storm may batter his home, but he refuses to let it shatter his peace. A setback may cut her plans short, but she refuses to let it define her worth. Each event is stripped of its tyranny when seen through the lens of choice. This is not denial, nor is it passive acceptance. It is the art of turning every external blow into material for inner strength. Consider the strongest individuals you know. Their power is not that they control more than others. Their power lies in the calm they hold when control is impossible. They face insult with composure. They face uncertainty with courage. They face loss with dignity. These qualities do not come from the world outside. They come from within, from the constant training of response. Every day you are tested. Small irritations, unexpected changes, unfair words, moments of fear, each is a chance to practice. Each is a chance to prove to yourself that while the world shifts like the sea, your mind can remain steady like the shore. In time, this becomes a habit, and that habit becomes character. To live this truth is to discover a form of power that cannot be taken away. Control of the world is an illusion. Control of yourself is a mastery. And in mastering response, you master the only thing that has ever truly belonged to you. Discomfort is the forge of strength. Strength is not born in comfort, nor is it cultivated in ease. The muscles of the body do not grow by resting on a couch. They grow when they are pushed, stretched, and torn in training. In the same way, the mind, the spirit, and the character of a person find their true shape in discomfort. Pain, difficulty, and challenge are not curses. They are the flames that temper the metal, the pressure that forms the diamond, the friction that polishes the stone.
Without discomfort, strength remains only a potential, never a reality.
Think of the moments in your life that shaped you most deeply. Were they the times when everything was simple and smooth? Or were they the moments when you felt pressed, when you doubted yourself, when you faced resistance and yet chose to continue? It is always in hardship that strength reveals itself. The long nights of uncertainty, the failures that demanded resilience, the losses that tested your patience, these are the teachers that no comfort can replace. Discomfort is the training ground for discipline. To wake before dawn, to persist through exhaustion, to stay steady when temptation calls for surrender, these are acts born in discomfort. Each time you choose to endure rather than escape, you add another layer of armor to your character.
And with every test you withstand, the voice within you grows clearer, the conviction stronger, the endurance deeper.
Discomfort is also the test of courage. Anyone can be brave when the path is clear and pleasant. True courage appears when the ground is uneven, when the way forward is painful, when fear whispers that you should retreat. It is in those moments, when you feel the weight of struggle, that courage has a chance to be real. A person who seeks only comfort avoids such moments, but in avoiding them, they also avoid the very essence of growth. To embrace discomfort is to accept that struggle and strength are two sides of the same coin. Without struggle, strength has nothing to resist, nothing to overcome, nothing to build upon. Every failure, every rejection, every hour of sweat and doubt adds another brick to the foundation of resilience. And though in the moment discomfort feels like a burden, in time you come to see it as a gift, because it leaves you stronger than you were before. Those who flee from discomfort remain fragile. The smallest hardship unsettles them, the slightest difficulty feels unbearable. But those who meet discomfort head-on, who welcome it as part of life's natural rhythm, discover an inner toughness that no external force can break. Discomfort, then, is not an enemy to fear but an ally to respect. It is the forge that shapes strength, the necessary fire through which the untested soul becomes unshakable. Today is a gift I will not waste. Time is the most precious possession we are ever given, yet it is also the one we treat with the least care. Money can be lost and regained, possessions can be broken and replaced, but a single day, once it passes, never returns. Each morning that arrives is not owed to us, not guaranteed, not something promised in advance. It is given freely, a fragile gift placed in our hands. To see today as anything less than extraordinary is to misunderstand the nature of life itself. When we wake, we often imagine that tomorrow will be waiting. We plan, we delay, we postpone the things that matter most. Yet how many dreams are left unfinished, how many words of love remain unspoken, how many chances for courage are lost because we thought there would always be another sunrise. Today is not a rehearsal for tomorrow. Today is the stage, the performance, the only moment we truly possess. To waste today is to ignore the opportunity to shape who we are becoming. Every choice we make, every action we take, leaves its imprint on the character we are building. If we choose idleness, distraction, or bitterness, then those seeds grow into habits that weaken us. But if we choose effort, gratitude, and presence, we cultivate strength, peace, and meaning. What we do with this day becomes a mirror of who we are and who we will become. The gift of today is not measured only in grand achievements. It is found in the smallest moments, a conversation where we truly listen, a step forward in the pursuit of a goal, a moment of stillness where we appreciate the beauty around us. Each breath, each gesture, each decision carries weight. To live today with awareness is to understand that nothing is insignificant, because everything contributes to the shape of our life. Gratitude is the key to honoring today. When we recognize that the present moment is not something owed but something freely given, we begin to treat it with reverence. Gratitude turns ordinary hours into treasures. The tasks we once found dull become meaningful when seen as opportunities to act with integrity. The relationships we take for granted become sacred when we remember that they, too, are not permanent. Gratitude transforms urgency into presence, reminding us that to live today fully is to live wisely. The danger is to slip into the illusion that life is endless, that our days will stretch beyond count. But no one is promised another sunrise. This truth is not meant to inspire fear, but to awaken us. If today were all we had, how would we spend it? Would we linger in resentment, or would we forgive? Would we remain idle, or would we act with purpose? Would we ignore those we love, or would we cherish them? Today is the canvas we are given, and it waits for the brush of our choices. To treat today as a gift is to embrace it with gratitude, to fill it with intention, and to leave nothing undone that truly matters. What is truly mine cannot be taken: my reason, my choices, my integrity.
The world can strip away almost everything.
Wealth can vanish in a moment, possessions can be lost, health can decline, reputations can be stained by lies, and even the body itself can be broken. Nothing external is ever fully secure, no matter how tightly we try to hold it. Yet there exists within each person a domain that no force can touch, a sanctuary untouched by fortune or misfortune. That domain is the mind, the capacity to reason, the freedom to choose, and the integrity to stand by what is right. These belong to us alone, and as long as we guard them, we remain unconquered.
Reason is the light that cuts through the fog of chaos.
It allows us to see the difference between what appears urgent and what is truly important. When the world presses in with noise, demands, and pressures, reason gives clarity. Others may shout, deceive, or attempt to confuse, but no one can climb into your mind and destroy your ability to think. Even in the darkest of conditions, where freedoms are denied and circumstances are cruel, the ability to reflect, to understand, and to direct thought remains within. To hold on to reason is to hold on to the anchor of stability.
Choices are the expression of freedom.
Though life often narrows the paths before us, though circumstances may limit what can be done, there always remains a choice in how we respond. No one can force us to hate, to despair, to betray ourselves unless we allow it. A person may be bound by chains and yet remain freer than one who is enslaved by impulse or fear. Choice is where dignity is born, for even the smallest act of will can separate strength from surrender. To recognize that your response belongs entirely to you is to reclaim power from the grip of circumstance. Integrity is the crown of the self. It is the refusal to compromise one's principles for the sake of comfort, gain, or approval. It is the silent strength of living in alignment with truth, even when falsehood offers the easier path. Integrity is not something that can be handed to you by others, and it is not something that others can destroy. It lives or dies by your own decision. When all else is stripped away, when reputation is smeared, when success is gone, when even companionship is lost, integrity remains as the final measure of who you are. To stand firm in integrity is to remain whole in a fractured world. What is truly ours, then, is not found in possessions, status, or circumstance. It is found in the inner fortress of reason, in the unshakable freedom of choice, and in the unwavering strength of integrity. These cannot be stolen, they cannot be broken by force, and they cannot be lost unless we choose to abandon them. To remember this truth is to stand secure no matter what the world takes away. I will act with virtue, not with impulse. Impulse is quick, loud, and demanding. It rises in moments of anger, fear, desire, or impatience, urging us to act without thought, to react without restraint. It feels powerful in the instant but often leaves us weaker afterward, burdened by regret or shame. Virtue, on the other hand, is steady and deliberate.
It calls for patience, courage, discipline, and justice.
To act with virtue is to rise above the fleeting storm of emotion and to align ourselves with what is right rather than what is easy. The difference between the two paths is the difference between a life ruled by chance and a life guided by purpose. Impulse tempts us with the illusion of freedom. It tells us to say whatever comes to mind, to take whatever feels good, to avoid whatever feels hard. Yet in following impulse, we are not free but enslaved, tossed around like a ship without a captain. Each decision becomes a reaction to the moment, leaving us vulnerable to every mood, every temptation, every provocation. Virtue, however, is the practice of true freedom. It demands that we pause, reflect, and choose our course based not on passing feelings but on enduring principles. To act with virtue means to measure our actions against the higher standard of what is good, just, and honorable. It means showing patience when anger would be easier, honesty when deceit would be more convenient, discipline when indulgence calls, and compassion when indifference tempts. These choices are rarely the path of least resistance, yet they are the path that leaves us with strength instead of regret. Each time we choose virtue over impulse, we build character. Each time we resist the urge to lash out, to give in, or to take shortcuts, we strengthen the foundation of who we are. Virtue does not ask us to be perfect, but it asks us to be mindful. It asks us to remember that every action is a seed planted in the soil of our character.
If we sow impulse, we reap chaos. If we sow virtue, we reap peace.
A single act of restraint, a single moment of courage, a single choice of honesty may seem small, but these choices accumulate, shaping the kind of person we become. Over time, they form a life that is consistent, trustworthy, and worthy of respect.
Impulse belongs to the moment, but virtue belongs to eternity.
When the heat of anger fades, what remains is the memory of whether we acted with dignity. When the desire of temptation passes, what remains is the truth of whether we stayed loyal to our principles. To live by impulse is to be ruled by what is temporary. To live by virtue is to be guided by what is lasting. Choosing virtue over impulse is not only the higher path, it is the only path that ensures we remain the masters of ourselves. If this were my last day, would I live it well? The thought of mortality has the power to strip away illusions. We live as though time is abundant, as though tomorrow is promised, as though life stretches out endlessly before us. Yet every day countless lives end, and none of them expected their last sunrise to be the final one. To carry the question, if this were my last day, would I live it well? Is not a call to despair but a call to awaken. It is a reminder to measure life not in years or possessions but in the fullness with which each moment is lived. Living well does not mean indulging in every pleasure or chasing every impulse. To live as though it were the last day is not to abandon responsibility or surrender to recklessness. Rather, it means to live with clarity, to act with intention, and to let nothing of value be left undone. If this were the final day, what words would you speak? What actions would you take? What wrongs would you make right? The urgency of mortality sharpens vision, revealing what truly matters and exposing what is trivial. So much of life is wasted in hesitation. We delay kindness, assuming there will be another chance.
We postpone dreams, waiting for the perfect moment.
We hold grudges, believing time will always allow for reconciliation later. But if this were the last day, would we not speak the words we've withheld, forgive the wounds we've clung to, and step boldly toward the things we have feared to attempt? The question presses us to act now, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. To live well on the last day is also to live with integrity. Would you compromise your values for comfort if you knew the end was near? Would you allow bitterness or anger to occupy your final hours? Or would you choose peace, courage, and gratitude?
That strips away illusions of status, wealth, and reputation, leaving only the truth of who we are.
To imagine the last day is to test whether our life reflects the principles we claim to hold. There is also a quiet beauty in this question. If this were the last day, even the smallest details become precious. A conversation with a loved one, a walk under the open sky, a moment of silence, all are transformed into treasures. To live well is not always to accomplish great deeds, but to be fully present, to love deeply, and to leave nothing meaningful unsaid. To carry this question daily is to keep perspective alive. It is not meant to darken the heart, but to free it. If you would live your last day well, then live every day with that same urgency, that same clarity, that same reverence for what is fleeting. In doing so, whether the end comes today or many years from now, you will have lived not merely long, but deeply and without regret.